Welcome everyone to this uh, Twitter Spaces, and today it's a Q&A, and it's Ask Coach Sudesh. So please, received. I want to first of all thank those who have sent in the questions. Please keep the questions coming in, so we'll start. I'll start answering them and get into it in a couple of seconds. Yeah. All right. Right. So let me. The hashtag today is ask Coach Sudesh. The hashtag is ask Coach Sudesh. Ask Coach Sudesh is one word. So that's the hashtag for today. Yeah. All right. So it's time for us to start. Hello. My name is Sudesh Kaka, the team leader at Sudesh International, where we help forward-thinking leaders create clarity through training, coaching, and consulting, so that they might. Wait a minute. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Yo. Ba. Hello. Can you hear me? Just let me know if you can hear me. All right. Sour. Okay. Everything is right and clear. Let's start. Our time is fast spent. My name is Sudesh Kaka, and I'm the team leader at Sudesh International, where we help forward-thinking leaders create clarity through training, consulting, and coaching, so that they may turn a profit. Okay, so today is a Q&A, and the hashtag is Ask Coach Sudesh. Ask Coach Sudesh is one word. So please keep the questions coming in, and then I'll get to answer them as they trickle in. All right. So let's get straight into it. The first question I want to answer is from Ivan Kali. Ivan says, how can those who have just graduated from university, especially undergraduate, transition from school into their career? I've realized that schools have not taught students this, and what they teach is not necessarily out there in the career. How can you help graduates? This is a wonderful question, Ivan. Now, I think let's look at what is the purpose of school and what is the purpose of university. The purpose of university is to transfer ancient wisdom and current wisdom to a person, so that they become independent and they use that wisdom to change the world. However, by and large, most universities are, they've never updated the things that they do, and so it's largely about test scores, and they will grade you and say, if you go above this mark, you've passed. If you go below this mark, you've failed. And so people come out of university through that system where you're graded, and so they are winners and they are losers. And then you come. I like to say, and this is true, that the education system, especially in Uganda, is based on the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Once you're good at those, you just build on those until university. And then you come to the workplace, and the workplace demands a different kind of skill. The workplace demands the 4 C's. The first C is communication. You need to be able to learn how to communicate with people. That is a skill that is required of you. The second C that is required is creative thinking or creativity. You're not going to do the same exact, like 1+1 is not 2. 1+1 is so many things. And you discover that when you get in the workplace, apart from communicating, you need to be creative, because things are not straight. 1+1+1 can be 10, or it can be X, or it can be whatever you want it to be. And then the other C is what we call collaboration. You're not going to work in isolation, you're working with people. And then the last one is critical thinking. How fast can you make accurate decisions? Okay. So the world, the work world, or the corporate world that you come to work in revolves around the 4 C's. Yeah, as I've mentioned them. But you're coming from an education system that is about reading, writing, and arithmetic. And so when you come, the first thing that you have to do is to unlearn, relearn, and unlearn, relearn, and learn certain things as you might want. So in so doing, that means that for you to transition from school to the work world, you're going to have to unlearn certain things. You're going to have to relearn certain things, and you're going to have to learn certain things. Let me give you a quick example. You come from school, you've studied accounting, and you think when you show up, you're going to, do the balance sheets, or you're going to do diplomacy work, or you're going to do what do you call it? You're going to do communication, or you're going to do real estate. And then when you come to work, you realize that, that is just part of what you're asked to do. You have to learn how to do, how to work with people, how to supplement all these things. And so the transition is to, use those formative years to be mentored and learn as much as possible. I think I've shared the 5 stages of career growth on one of the Twitter spaces, and I said when you've just come from school, you are at the learning stage. You're really absorbing in everything, and at that stage is for you to gain as many skills as possible on top of what you learned in school and be versatile. And then you go to the editing stage, where you start to work 3 or 4 things and you become good at them, and then you get to mastery. So the first thing for you to transition is to understand that this is going to be a journey, it's going to be a process, and then know that you're beginning at the learning point where you're like a sponge, you're like a kid, and you're learning everything, and then transitioning into everything, into mastery and where you need to be. I think I've answered that question. If you need supplements on that, I'll be able to give those, but that is what you can do. And then I have a question here. It's from Amanda N. Amanda says, how did you learn to communicate with all characters of people at work? Wow, this is a great question. I don't think it's only at work, but communication is one of those skills that if you learn will make you 50 times better. And I'm not just making this up. If you can learn how to communicate effectively, it will make you 50 times better. How do I know? It has made me better. If you ask people that knew me 10 years ago and they hear me communicate effectively, they will tell you I'm way better than I was, and I keep on getting better. And that was said by Warren Buffett, by the way. I'm not just making that up to sell communication. So learning to communicate with all characters is incredibly important. I think the first thing that you learn about communication is that communication is not what you say. Communication is the perception that you get. So if I come and tell you that, you're doing great, you're doing great at your work and everything, but you perceive that I'm being sarcastic, then the communication there is that I am being what? Sarcastic, even if I did not intend to be sarcastic. So when you're learning to communicate, you have to understand that you're dealing with people, and people have thoughts, people have feelings, people have desires, And so you must know that as you're communicating to people. But there are so many principles of communication, and I'd like to share some of them. I think this would help someone out there, so that they know exactly what we are talking about. So the core principles of communication, before I even get into them, I like this saying. It says, half of the world is composed of people who have something to say and can't, and the other half who have nothing to say and keep saying it. That is by Robert Frost. Let me say that again. Half of the world is composed of people who have something to say and can't, and the other half who have nothing to say and keep saying it. Which one do you belong to? So, like I said, communication is the response that you get, not what you say. So you must be aware of the response that you want to get. Usually, before I even communicate, before I even come on stage, or before I even talk to my wife, or I'm talking to someone, I'm asking myself, what response do I want to get? Do I no one stands out and says, I want to communicate and get resistance from a person. No. So you have to be aware that before you communicate to people, that communication is a response that you get. And then you have to also be aware that when you start to communicate, i.e. when you start to write or speak, you're given feedback in real time. So if someone is being resistant, if I'm trying to sell an idea and it's not being received, then that is feedback for me. Yeah. And then the other thing that you have to know is that you have to communicate in context. When you're communicating to a child, you do not have to tell them all the jargon that you use at work, balance sheet, what. No, communicate to them as a child. Yeah. So how do you communicate to all sorts of people? You have to know, number one, what you want, and number two, you have to speak their language. Each kind of people, every group of people has a language. Let me give you an example. I think this is how it will make sense. Let's say I'm communicating to a high achiever, at work. So I'm telling this guy, you know what? I really appreciate what you're doing right now, but we can do better, don't you? Okay. And so what's your plan on doing better, by the way? I think I'm going to make 10 extra calls to make sure that we close the deals. Okay. Is that the very best that you can do? I don't think so. I think I can do better. What are you going to do better? I don't know. I think I might have to double. The calls and everything. Like, okay, is that the best that you can do? Okay, that's when I'm communicating to a high achiever. However, I cannot communicate to a low performer like that, because the moment I ask them, is that the best that you can do? What is going to happen? Their small ego is going to be deflated further, and I'm not going to be able to get further through to them. Okay, so what I'm doing from that point, if I'm communicating with a low performer, I want to have a conversation with them that is going to hold them accountable, but at the same time not really push them over the edge. Okay, so the conversation with the low performer would go something like this. Okay, so I'm seated with them, and I'm having a conversation with them. So the conversation would go like you start with a question. Yeah, You say, look, you and I agreed that we're going to. You and I agreed that we were going to get some things done, and you promised that you would get back to me by close of day today, right? Okay. Then you go on to ask, I'm curious, what happened? Now, when you say I'm curious, what happened, you're throwing it back to them to respond. And then you're listening, and at this time, if you're with them face to face, you might want to sit down, okay? And if you are across the table with them, you don't want to go in attack mode. Attack mode is when your chin drops and then your hands come out. I wish there was a TV to show you what I'm doing. But to go in listening mode, you have to keep your chin up. You've seen animals when they are going to attack, their chin goes down, and then their forearms go in front. Now, if you want to listen and you're using body language, your chin should remain up, and then you put your hands on the table. Because when you put them out, you want to attack. Okay? So at this time, I'm curious, what happened? Okay? And now I hold them accountable. I say something like, you know what? I understand. I listen to them and everything, and I tell them, I understand what you're saying. But what I don't understand is that as per our agreement, you had a problem, and you were supposed to get back to me, but you did not. And then you pivot. When can I expect this work to get done? Or how can I support you? All right? So that is, you've seen that the way I communicate to a top performer is not the way I communicate or coach an underperformer. Totally different. I'm using different languages because one sense of self-belief, one has a sense of self-belief and self-confidence, and they are focusing on how to get better, and another one is just getting through the speed. Okay, yeah. So that is how you would respond. Let me see if there are any other questions. Oops, I'd gone off. Okay, I'll repeat the question. I hope we all had it. How do you handle potential conflicts or disagreements during a coaching session? Now, when I'm coaching someone, one of the rules of engagement is I let you know that I'm going to exercise tough love in some instances. Now, having said that, even when you exercise tough love, there's sort of resistance, because as human beings, we are built to put up shields when someone challenges something that we don't want to be attacked. So, in a way, without going into all the details, I will endeavor to piss you off as much as possible to get to the core of what we need to deal with. So the conversation will go like, you tell me, let's say we're having a conversation, and you say, you know what, I did not do the assignment because I was at church. And I tell you, you're serious? Did you just say you're at church? Is that an excuse for you not to do the work? Oh, come on, Sudesh, you don't understand. People go to church and stuff like that. I'll say, you know what, I understand, but that is a lot of crap, man. You cannot give me such crap. And at that time, I'm pushing you, and the more I push you, I'm literally intentionally creating conflict to push you to get out of excuses. So the way to deal with that is I'll push you as much as possible, and then I have to collect you back to say, look, I'm not against you, I'm for you, and that is why I'm challenging you. I'm not here to just be buddy with you. I'm here to be your coach. And you can take this personal, or you can take this objectively and look at the things that you are not doing. Yeah, so that is what you do that's what I would do to address any sort of conflict that comes up during the coaching sessions. But sometimes it's not really conflict. Sometimes it's just that someone that cannot take it. There are some people that are not coachable. Yeah. Some people are coachable, some people are not coachable, and sometimes you just have to let go. Like I remember this one time, we do a 360 feedback, and then my client, I'm supposed to go and tell her what her team is saying that she wasn't willing to listen to. So I face her and tell her, you know what, your team are saying that you're so full of yourself. Your team are saying that you're so opinionated. No one can talk to you. As a matter of fact, they think you're a jack. And this lady's tears start to drop, and she says, Sudesh, your contract has been revoked. I said, what? No, I did not say what, but in that case, you just stop because the person is not coachable. Yeah. So that is how I would deal with it. Jackson is saying, how can I deal with my fellow workers who hate me at work in terms of communication, so that I could finish the assignment given to you or to me? Jackson, thanks for the question. This is a great question. How can I deal with my fellow workers who hate me at work and in terms of communication? So, okay. Now, my question again would go back to you. Do your teammates hate you because you're so full of yourself? Do your teammates hate you because you are just an individual that is just out to get things done by themselves, or you have the technique and the skill to enlist their support when you need it? What do I mean? We need things to get done, okay? And I sense some resistance. Yeah. Now, the first thing that someone that is resisting you thinks is that you're going to go and you're going to give it to them. You're going to go and say, you guy, why don't you get on board? Why don't you support the cause? Why aren't you fully in support of of the things that we are meant to do? Let me tell you, you're not the one who brought me here, and like it or not, I'll get it done. In fact, I'm a child of God. You give it to them. You have that option. Or you might say, man, can we have a chat? Say, okay, all right. Guess what? I sense that there's been some resistance. So there could be areas that I'm not understanding. How can I be supportive? Or do you need any clarity about this issue? All right. And then you hear them out. Yeah. But if that fails, then you can say, you know what? I came to you last time, and I've come to you again. I want to explore all options for us to work together. How can I support you? And I need your support on this matter. Now, knowing that you have a deadline, you cannot do that forever. If the first and second time refuses, then you can escalate a matter. But first of all, you have to explore all the options of communicating with the person, and always, if you want people to extend something to you, to extend kindness to you, be kind in the first place. Maybe sometimes their child is sick, or their dog swallowed a bean and it choked the dog, and you need to be empathetic. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Sometimes you just have to speak to those people and know what they are going through, and then enlist their support. All right, all right. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. Let me get to the next question. Okay. What long-term growth strategy can you recommend to an entrepreneur? All right. So let me first of all define what an entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur is someone that sees an opportunity, is willing to take a risk, yeah, and monetize that opportunity. That is who an entrepreneur is. And so, how does an entrepreneur look at long-term growth and not just look at doing the one thing today? Let's say you and there are lots of businesses that are not entrepreneurial. There are lots of businesses that are, there are three players in the market. There's always an innovator, an imitator, and an idiot. Yeah, and usually idiots will look like they're doing business, but they are so late in the game. Idiots are having internet cafes right now. So those are not entrepreneurs. Those are idiots. Imitators, they will start a salon because someone started a salon, or they'll go into farming because someone went into farming. Entrepreneurs on the other side will look at an opportunity. Yes, there are a million farmers, but what opportunity have you seen, and what gap in the market are you feeling? Now, I'm speaking to the guys that see the gap in the market and they are feeling something. I saw a problem in the credit reference bureau sector, and so I start something there. I'm speaking to those guys that can see those opportunities. Those entrepreneurs, for you to focus long term, you have to make sure that number one, you work a lot initially, especially the first years, the first 5 years, and also you're working a lot on sales. How do we get sales? Because without sales, nothing else moves. So you have to make sure that everyone, your organization, or you have to make sure that you are selling. As a matter of fact, I think I have to do a Twitter space on sales. And then the other thing that you have to do is, initially in those early stages, you have to make sure that you're building processes and systems. Yeah. If we have a chicken farm, how are we going to make sure that we replicate the feeding of the birds and or take them to the market, and make sure that regardless of who is at the farm, there's actually a process. Now, when you've perfected this, then now you have to start, and this is what is going to take you long term. Long term, you have to start focusing on things like marketing, yeah? And then you focus on things like leadership development. How do I grow leaders within the organization? How do I tell my message out there? CJ's does not have the best food. I hate to be the one to tell you that. But they are great at marketing, and they are great at, they've built the systems, and they have an internal system that develops leaders on the floor. And because of that, they will be here for a long time. So that is, as an entrepreneur, you're looking at those four things: the sales, the processes, marketing, and leadership development in your organization. That is how you focus long term as a leader. Let me see the other questions. Okay. How do you measure success in a business? All right. So success is can be measured in so many ways, and there are so many parameters for measuring success. But success can be measured in people development. Success can be measured in money. That is a very vast question. So success can be measured in you opening up to new markets. So it is all over the place. Whatever you choose to measure success, that can be used. Okay, how? Wait. I'm getting to the questions. There are so many here. Let me see, which one do I get to answer? There are so many. Okay. They're asking me, how did you get off the ground? Okay, let me read this. I'm trying to choose the questions because there are so many. What are some of the most the common misconceptions about business? Okay, one of the the biggest misconceptions about business is that it comes with automatic freedom. Like you're going to leave the job because you have this boss that is hounding you, and then you're going to start a business and you have total freedom. That is the biggest lie that can be told about business. Business requires you to work harder. I work harder than I ever worked when I had a job. Why? Because that's what it demands. If you do not have food on the table, no one is going to put food on the table. But I would ask you to, the person that asked this question, I would ask you to go and listen to the last Twitter space that I did on the 10 mistakes I did in my first 3 years of entrepreneurship. I think I cover a lot in that I don't want to go into. Okay, what inspired you to start your business and how did you get it off the ground? Wow. Okay, what inspired me to start? I've always done business. I mean, from the time I was 11 or 12, I've always done business. Starting from a lawn mowing business that I started. But let me give you the story that led me to my first business. So I should have been around 10 or 9, and I go to my mom and I wanted money, and she tells me, you know what? Never budget from other people's pockets. If you want money, you go, you make the money. I said, what? Nah, like this lady, what is that you're telling to a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old? And she says, put on some decent clothes. This is around 5 p.m. I'll never forget this. This is about 5 p.m. She tells me, put on your clothes. I'm going to show you how you make the money. So I put on, not that I was naked, but I put on some decent clothes. And then she leads me. We had a neighbor, okay, some Muzungu guy. And she goes and says, Mr. So-and-so, I won't mention his name. Mr. So-and-so, this is my son, Kaka. And he's very good at lawn mowing and taking care of flower gardens. And I'm sure he will do a great job for you. I see you have some things, you might need some help. And he doesn't charge a lot of money. And I did not know how to loan. I do not know how to do the loans. I do not know how to do the flower gardens. And the guy said, yeah, sure. I can try him out. Can you start tomorrow morning? I said, yeah, I can start tomorrow morning. When my mom was leaving for work, she used to wake up very early. She used to wake up at around 3. And, she would do mandazi and, she would sell mandazi at different workplaces. Then she would go to her workplace. So as she's going to make mandazi, she wakes me up. We make the mandazi, and then I have to go and do the lawn mowing at the neighbor's place. So I go lawn mow, and they gave me some money. I think after a week they gave me about 25,000 shillings. Man, that was a lot of money. And from then onwards, I learned how to do business. So when I was in school, in my secondary school, I used to send money to my sisters, and then they would send me success cards. I would accumulate money, and in the third term they send me success cards, and then I sell those success cards. I make the money. And then when I went to university, I did quite a number of things. I sold ladies' shoes. I did lots of things. I did some mushroom farming, and then I've done business. So from my heart, I can say that my mother inspired me to start business. But also I come from a business background. My father used to own petrol stations. So as a young boy, I used to go and be at these petrol stations. Even long after his death, the petrol stations went on. And so I used to go and see these guys changing the oil and seeing money being exchanged at the pumps. And so I've always been in that environment where business is being done. So what really inspired me to start business is my mom telling me that I cannot budget in other people's pockets, and I have to go out and get things going on my side. But also I liked, once you've experienced uh, earning that first paycheck, you cannot go back. I'm not meaning paycheck salary. That affected me so much to the point that the last job I had, I went and told my boss not to give me a salary. You'd be like, what? So how were you surviving? Man, there are like a million ways to survive. And not just survive, but thrive. And so I had businesses on the side, and I asked this guy to teach me everything that he knew, and I started business. So yeah, my mom was a great inspiration for me to start business. And what has kept me going is knowing that I'm here to serve and to help other people. Of course, it's a longer story. I think I gave this story in the last Twitter space about my 10 mistakes in the first 3 years of entrepreneurship. Again, I will insist, if you have not listened to that, please go and listen to this. So I'll do 2 more questions and then we'll call this a day. Okay. What role does social media play in your marketing strategy, and how do you measure its impact? Well, I can tell you I'm not a social media expert, but I know social media enough to make it work for me. And so when we're starting Sudesh International, the training that we had, 70% of the tickets were sold online. And this was before Facebook ads. This was before all these promotions on Instagram and what, Snapchat. This was before all these guys did it. And for me, it was about the message, the story that you tell. So I learned the art of storytelling early, and I would sell. And after people had bought tickets, when they would meet me, they would be like, are you the Sudesh? Back then I was quite tiny, and they would, it was one of those funny things. But social media is absolutely important because, just think about it, around 3 billion people on Facebook, and then Twitter has about, I think, almost 2 billion. YouTube produces about 10,000 videos per minute. Yeah, so that is a lot of content going out, and if you're not there, then something is wrong. But I've also learned that everyone is making noise. Everyone has an opinion on social media, but the way to stand out is and be anticipated and personal is to tell a story, but also learn how the system works. Every day the algorithm changes. At one point, the algorithm on all social medias wasn't receptive of pictures that had logos on them. Yeah, and then there was a time when it was receptive of pictures with people smiling, like they wanted to Facebook wanted to promote more of that. And now recently we're sitting down with our social media experts, and they were telling us that the algorithm has changed over a period of time, and now social media, if you're sharing something from Facebook to Twitter, like let's say I'm promoting Twitter Spaces on LinkedIn will fight it tooth and nail because they want to promote their own platform. So you have to craft the message tailored for each of those. Okay, but again, like I say, please talk to the social media experts. Okay. Let me see. Any other questions? Let me just take one more and then we call this a day. Okay. What advice would you give to someone starting their own business for the first time? All right. The advice for me for anyone starting business the first time is to kind of think of the end goal in it. Like, why are you starting business? Because business is tough, man. And if you do not know why you're there, you're going to quit. Yeah. How do I know? I've done this for over 10 years to know. So my advice for anyone going into business, first of all, make sure that you're not going into business because you failed to get a job. Because the mind that has failed to get a job cannot build a business. So make sure that you're not going into business because you failed to get a job. Make sure that you're not starting business because someone fired you and you're looking for a quick relief, like, let me show them. No. Find something that fulfills you. And for me, in my earlier days in business, and even up to now, I'm always asking myself, which areas can I serve? Which areas can I have impact? Which voices can I speak to? And then in serving, you find purpose and you're able to stay long term. I've given this story once, but I'll give it to you again. When we started Sudesh International, I quickly found out that I had no clue what we're doing, and I went and submitted to another man, and this man took me around the world. And every time after a project, he would ask me, what did you learn? And I would tell him, oh, was I supposed to learn something? And then after around 1.5 years, okay, I'm working for this guy. I don't have a salary. So he keeps on asking me, what have you learned? What have you learned? And I was full of myself back in the day. And that time I was so broken. Like, man, my pastor calls it consecration. That time I was consecrated. I was so broken. And I remember this like it was yesterday. So I'm in Panari Hotel on the 7th floor overlooking Nairobi National Park. And, the training has gone on, it's successful. And then I hear a knock at my door. I go to my door and open. And it's my coach, and he has an envelope, and I opened it, and it has lots of dollars. He tells me, you know what, this has been a hard year, but here is something to comfort you. And it was lots of dollars that I urgently needed. But he also asked me something. He asked me, so what have you learned up to this particular point in time? And I tell him, what I've learned is that it's never about me, it's about the people that we serve. And he looks at me and he tells me, Sudesh, now you're ready. You're ready. The day you learn that it's never about you, it's about the people you serve. It's about those employees and the families that they have to support. It's about the clients that you're serving and where they're coming from and fulfilling their dreams. The day you learn those things, you become humble, but you learn to take the sacrifices. I take sacrifices. I sacrifice for my team. I sacrifice for my clients, because guess what? It's not about me. It's about them. And in serving, that is where you find fulfillment, and the money always comes. I always tell the people that one thing about business, when your heart is given out to serve, and not to focus so much on yourself, but to be immersed in serving people and finding the opportunities and filling those gaps, the money comes. So my advice to anyone that is starting a business is to know that it's not, you're not in a popularity context, and you're not out to make noise so that you might be known, but you're out there to serve. And once you know that, you'll be absolutely better at what you do. All right, so we've come to the end of this Twitter space. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have. Please, I would ask you to do a couple of things. Number one, go to our page, like it. The page, the handle is at Consult Sudesh, or my personal handle is at Kaka Sudesh. That is one word. Go to our YouTube channel, Sudesh International Consult. All these podcasts are there. Twitter Spaces. Follow us, reach out to us. The number is +256 773 342324, and the email is sudesh@consultsudesh.com. So with that said, I've enjoyed this. I hope we do this one more time. See you in the next Twitter Space. This is Sudesh saying adios, muchachos. Bye-bye.